Good morning once again. Today I'm going to discuss the contents of this subject, BUSIFIN, Senior High School Business Finance. I think this is the only finance class that you'll have as ABM students. I'm not sure how many accounting subjects you have. Do you have two accounting subjects or just one?
Fab M po, sir.
Just one?
I think so po. For this term po, yes po.
Okay. But in your, how many accounting subjects are you going to take? Two or one? Fab at two, okay? So your accounting subjects, you have two classes. You have two subjects for accounting. For finance, only one, okay? So what do you expect in this subject? Let's take a look at our learning outcomes for the different weeks. For the first week, we're going to look at the role of financial management. Okay, what is financial management? Of course, we're going to take a look at a brief definition of what financial management is and its role as far as a firm is concerned, as far as a company is concerned. So we'd like to take a look at the structure of finance in a company. Who are the individuals involved in that? Okay, and we'd like to look at the difference between a financial institution, a financial instrument, and a financial market. So what are these three things? That will be our goal for week one. Next week, we're going to look at the different types of financial institutions and the services that they provide. For example, an example of a financial institution is a stock brokerage firm. If you want to invest in the stock market, you cannot just go to the Philippine Stock Exchange and tell them that you'd like to buy San Miguel shares or Jollibee shares. You cannot do that because by law, there is an authorized representative that can only deal with the Philippine Stock Exchange market, and that's the stockbroker. So in order to go to the stock exchange, you have to deal with licensed stockbrokers. So that's an example of a financial institution. So the service that they provide is that they liaise between the stock exchange and the market so that the market is able to trade, buy stocks, sell stocks from the stock exchange. Another example of a financial institution is, for example, banks. Okay, we know that banks are also intermediaries. Banks provide a venue for those with a need for cash to borrow. Okay, so it's a market where net savers and net borrowers meet. So there are some who have excess cash. They don't see any, let's say, any endeavor or investment at the moment that they feel they could go into, so they could park their money in the bank. Okay, and then there are some, whether individuals or companies, that have some need for cash. So the bank is a market. So a market is a place, whether physical or virtual, where buyers and sellers meet. Okay, so there are those who have excess cash, so they're selling, quote unquote, their excess cash to others, while there are those who have need for cash, so that they would want to borrow through the intermediary, which is a bank. Okay, there are other financial institutions that we're going to look into next week. Okay, and it's important for us to know this, what we call this financial market. What are the players involved? What is their role in the financial market? Needless to say, class, that the financial market is a very important market. Okay, a country, a well-performing country, is a country that has a well-performing financial market. Okay, a country, show me a country that's not performing well, and most likely you'll have a country whose financial markets are not really functioning properly. Okay, so there's a one-to-one correspondence, or there's a direct relationship between a well-performing country and a well-performing financial market. Okay. By the way, class, if you have questions, if you'd like to share something, please feel free to raise your hands. Please feel free to chat, and we would like this class to be not a monologue. By monologue, I mean I'm the only one speaking. I'd like to hear from your thoughts. I'd like to hear your contributions. Maybe you'd like to add more to that. Okay, so please feel free. Okay, and if you have any questions, of course, please feel free to raise your hands or unmute yourself or just chat, and we would gladly try to see and answer your question. Okay, and then in the second week, this is very important: the flow of funds through and from the enterprise. As I mentioned a while ago, there are firms that have a net need for cash. Okay, so how does cash flow from another institution to that firm that has a need for cash? So that's what we call the flow of funds. Okay, whether the firm or the organization is a net saver, it means it has an excess cash and it would like to lend this out first, or whether the firm is a net borrower, which means that it has a need for cash. Then in both instances, whether the firm is a net saver or a net borrower, there is what we call the flow of funds. And this is very important. And this typifies the role of a financial manager in the financial management function of an organization. Okay, in week 3, we're going to do financial statements. Week 4, we'll have the ratios. Okay, the financial statements is the end goal of the accounting process. Yeah, iba, the financing function is different from the accounting function. In the accounting function, the end goal is to generate financial statements. So whether it's the balance sheet, the income statement, or the statement of cash flows, that's the end goal of the accounting process. Of course, the accounting field has already expanded also into other functionalities. Okay, not only does it seek to generate the financial statements, pero ang finance naman, it's more really focused on, let's say, the analysis of the financial statements, helping management come up with a decision based on what the numbers tell about the status of the firm, about the state of the firm. So we're going to learn, for example, ratios like liquidity. When you say liquidity, how capable is the organization in meeting its current obligations? Okay, we know that a company, for example, a manufacturing company, has a need for its raw materials. Sometimes their suppliers provide them with trade or credit. So let's suppose they're given a 30-day credit, 60-day credit, even a 90-day credit. It depends on the size of the firm. Big firms and well-established firms usually are given longer credit terms, because the suppliers would want to do business with the big company. For example, let's say in the telecoms, you have Globe, you have Smart. In manufacturing, you have San Miguel. So companies who would like to partner with these organizations, big organizations, are willing to provide the firm, these companies, these big firms, with a longer credit line. Okay, so otherwise, kung hindi sila magpo-provide ng longer credit line, they might not be able to become a supplier or become a partner with the organization. So when we deal with companies like this, kailangan the firm, the supplier, should be able to really manage its cash flows. Because if you're going to give a credit line of 90 days, then ibig sabihin nun, you sold the company, the items that you're providing them, and then you'll be able to collect only after 90 days. Okay, so the question is, do you have enough cash in order to buy the next batch of raw materials. So that's a very important uh, question. So that's answered by liquidity, solvency, stability, profitability, and we're going to include their activity ratios. So this is one of the most important topics here as far as business finance is concerned. Okay, then aside from that, we're going to do another form of analysis. We call it horizontal and vertical analysis. Okay, so the week 4 and week 5 altogether, they comprise your financial ratios. So it's not enough that we're able to compute, for example, what's the quick ratio. So quick ratio is part of your liquidity ratio. It's not enough that you're able to understand the formula and compute for this measure. Okay, it's important to interpret. Ano ibig sabihin ng quick ratio na yan? Okay, so that's what will happen in week number 7. Okay, I think yung week 7 dito, I think it's the break, you know? Break. So let me just verify this. Kasi may break tayo ng October 30 to November 6. So, unfortunately, guys, hindi exact ng week dito, no? So I will have to adjust this. My apologies for the discrepancy as far as the number of weeks is concerned. But let me fix that. Okay, then we go to the financial planning process. So we're going to learn about budgeting. Okay, we're going to learn about how to manage cash, receivables, and inventories. These are the current assets, very important for a firm. Okay, and then we're going to take a look at loans. How does a firm provide for its cash flow needs? So manghihiram siya, maglo-loan siya. So we're going to take a look at the requirements in order to take a loan. On week 10, we have the time value of money. Okay, so we're going to learn about present value, future value, annuities, effective interest rates, okay, amortization. We're going to take a look at that. And then, okay, I think it's week 10 kasi dapat siguro week 10 to 11 ton. I think there's only 1 week na parang wala tayong pasok, October 30 to November 6. Okay, but as I promised, I'm going to fix this. Okay, yung mga quizzes, just don't mind that. I'll give you the dates of when will be our first quiz, second quiz, but definitely, okay, unless there's a strong reason to have the quiz online, all our quizzes will be face-to-face. Okay, and then lastly, you'll have management policies, the money management cycle. Okay, it's all about savings, earning, spending, saving, and investing money. So this is the full gamut of our BUSIFIN class. Okay, it's really a challenge because from my experience, I have difficulty really squeezing into one term all these topics, but we'll try to manage our lessons. Okay, so let me pause for a while. Are there any questions? Yeah, who's this? Sorry, Melencio. Sorry, I don't have your nickname here yet. No? Paki-share yung question mo dun to everyone, please, because that's a very important question. Yeah, Melencio. Migs, no? Kindly share your question to everyone. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so ang question ni Migs, no? Do you give long quizzes like modules 1 to 3? Yes, oo. Gagawin natin medyo long, no? Siyempre yung mga topics that are related to each other, we will have one quiz for that. Okay, so please don't get bothered by this quiz. It's a required output. It doesn't mean that that's a long quiz. We may have short quizzes. Okay, for topics, maybe the short quizzes will be more of group quiz. Okay, but the quizzes, the long quizzes will be more for a longer coverage. Okay, thank you, Migs, for that question. Any other questions, class? Okay, so why don't I put it in the positive, in the positive? So far, the discussion of syllabus, is it clear so far? I would appreciate a feedback from you guys, class, if the review of the syllabus is okay.
Yes po, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Class, please, if you're going to ask questions, unless if it's a personal question, something that you think is a personal question for you, i-share nyo to everyone. So, Rog, kindly share your question to the class, please. Thank you. Okay. What are the things that we would need for this subject? Okay. There used to be a textbook for this, but for this term, we're not going to use a textbook. So what you will be needing when we're online, it would be best for you to have your Excel ready, because as much as possible, we'd like to use Excel for the computation. For face-to-face, although not required, if you can bring your laptop so that you can work on Excel, then that would be good. Otherwise, anyway, I'll just flash on the board the Excel. If you can bring your laptop, so much the better, so that you can follow along with me as we work, as we navigate using Excel for the computation. Kasi mas madali, no? It will be a lot easier, and also more of the practicality in the real world when you get employed in the future. If that's your plan, then whatever field you're in, ginagamit talaga yung spreadsheet, yung Excel for quantitative purposes. Okay? Any other questions or feedback, class? Kung clear so far yung discussion natin. Pakinalang please, pakichat kung clear, or kung so far okay naman yung pag-discuss natin ng syllabus. Okay, thank you, Tony. The rest, I'm waiting for the others. Yeah, thank you. Okay, how about the others? Okay, good. Wala pang 50% ang nag-reply. So I'd like us to really be participating, even with questions like that, even with sharing your responses. Thank you so much. Okay, that's good. I think there are many. Maybe all gave their feedback. Thank you so much. I appreciate those feedback. It's very important for me. All right. So let's take a look at week 1. So we're told that it's more of an introduction to business finance and financial management. Okay, so let me flash a PowerPoint. I'm going to share the PowerPoint with you. Okay, sana hindi mag-hang. Minsan nag-hang kasi. Wala yung ano. Wala yung first slide. Wala yung first slide. Okay, anyway. And bakit nawawala yung ano? Wait lang guys ha. Okay, so welcome to Business Finance once again. So this is for first term, first trimester, academic year 2022 to 2023. Yeah, okay lang, Mike. It's okay. Okay. So what's our objective for this course? Let me access my digital pen also. Okay, so our first objective is to take a look at the major role. Okay, what's the major role of financial management in any organization? Okay, and the different individuals involved. So in the hierarchical structure of an organization, you have the finance departments. Who are the people involved? So this is your finance department. Who are the people involved in the finance department? Most probably you'll have the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, and under the CFO you have several other individuals. So we're going to take a look at that. Who are the different individuals involved as far as the finance function is concerned? Okay, and then as I mentioned a while ago, we're going to take a look at the difference between a financial institution, a financial instrument, and the financial market. So we should be able to distinguish between these three. Okay, what's a financial institution? What are instruments? Okay, and what's the market? Thirdly, okay, you should be able to enumerate the different types of institutions and the services that they provide. Okay, so this stems from the previous learning objective, what a financial institution is. We should also be able to give examples of financial institutions and what services they provide. We should also be able to compare and contrast the different instruments, okay, the different financial instruments, okay, and also the role of finance in an organization, specifically in terms of the flow of funds. Okay. Now, why is this important? Because no firm has an infinite source of resources. Okay, so you know the symbol for infinity. Even the richest firm in the whole world does not have an infinite source of resources. It means that there is a limit, there's a constraint as far as the funds is concerned. So the role of finance is to be able to acquire resources for the firm so that it can fund its projects. Another role of finance is to identify projects that should be able to increase the value of the firm. Okay, Okay, so role ng finance yan. Identify projects where the firm's value will be increased. And then how does the firm fund that? So it's not enough just to identify the projects. It's also important that the manager, the manager, or the CFO be able to identify where we can tap resources in order to fund these projects. Okay, so let's start with a question. What do you think is the main objective of any business? Okay, so let me open the floor to your shares. Okay, and I would prefer that you unmute yourselves and then share to the class. What do you think? Ano ba talaga yung main objective ng isang negosyo, ng isang firm? Okay? Yes, there are two who raise their hands. Okay? Can you unmute yourselves? Pwede? Yeah, ang daming...
Hello po.
Sige, yes? Yes,
Hello
please.
po, sir. So for me personally, I think the main objective of any business is to be sustainable in the long run. So
Okay.
how would the business be sustainable? It encompasses many aspects. Kasama po dito yung proper management of their staff, kasama po yung proper management of their resources, as you mentioned earlier. And hindi lang yung resources na monetary or yung material resources, kundi pati yung human resources. And it also entails yung long-term planning. But it all goes back to being sustainable in the long run and to being profitable. Yun po.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you. So Casey, ano? Casey ba?
Opo, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Casey. That was a very comprehensive answer. So sabi ni Casey, sustainability. Tapos yung management of resources, no? Hindi lang yung financial assets, pati physical assets and even human resources. So kahit si finance, may role siya kahit na dun sa human resource aspect. Kasi hindi naman a company cannot get human resources without funds. So that's very good, Casey. Thank you so much. Others? There were others who were raising their hands.
Hi,
Yes.
sir. Good morning po. I think one of the main objectives of any business is to provide service or give products to their customers while having a profit po.
Okay, good. Thank you, Akiza. No? And Giovanna?
Sir, for me naman po, similarly, a main objective of a business is to gain profit, but also to kind of share their resources to people who are in need of them, and also to give potential solutions to problems in the market po.
Wow. Okay, good. Good. So, guys, I love your answers. So very comprehensive and you're giving very good ideas. No? So, sabi ni si Akiza ba? Sorry if I mispronounce your name. He
Yes,
said
sir.
that it's,
Tama po.
thank you. It's to provide services, di ba? Yeah, of course. Siyempre, any organization will not have any raison d'etre. Are you familiar with that term? Raison d'etre, which means the reason to exist, the reason to live. If they do not have any mission or vision, importante yung mission and vision for any organization. And that mission and the vision, as also mentioned by, sorry, who was that? The next one, si Giovanna ba? Sorry, hindi ko na-take down.
Yes po, sir.
Yeah. Sabi ni Giovanna is to solve problems in the market. These are very good answers. And of course, you mentioned profitability. Okay, so these are many possible objectives. Okay, so to solve problems in society, pwede yun. Kasi that's part of the company's. The old name is called CSR, no? Corporate Social Responsibility. But there are newer terms for that. And it's also, of course, a company cannot just provide services to the market without earning. Kailangan, they should be profitable. Okay? And they should be sustainable. Hindi pa pwedeng hindi sustainable kasi. Otherwise, hindi magiging going concern yung business. after a few months, magpo-fold up na yung business. So, ano yung sense na magkakaroon tayo ng worthy and very noble na mission and vision na hindi naman sustainable yung business process. So these are all very important. But from a theoretical perspective, okay, I dare say that the main objective of any business, the three of you mentioned something about profit maximization. No? Okay, so this is very important. This is common to the three who gave their answers. No? Profit maximization, because a company cannot be sustainable if there's no profit maximization. However, let me sound very radical here that this should not be the main objective of an organization. Hindi profit maximization. Neither is it coming up with a lofty goal in order to serve society. That's a very good goal, but that should not be the main objective of any business. So I'm talking of a theoretical construct. What should be the main goal of any organization, of any business? Okay, I'm not talking of an NGO, because a non-government organization might have a different objective. Okay, so yung main objective ng mga NGOs kasi, non-governmental organizations, is to be able to deliver its mission and vision. So kunyari, ang mission and vision niya is to help alleviate poverty among the fisher folk, for example, then that should be the main thrust, and it should not be profit maximization, nor should it be any other objective. Okay, so I'm not talking of NGOs. Okay, I'm talking of profit organizations, for-profit firms. I'm talking of firms that were set up, that were established in order to provide services or products to their constituents, and then, of course, rake in money in return. So that's our context. But as I was saying, it's not profit maximization that should be the main objective of any organization, but rather, what do you think? Rather, okay, this should be the main objective of any business. Okay, when I say business, guys, ang context ito yung for-profit organizations. It should be to maximize shareholder value. Okay, shareholder value. That's really what interests owners most, is that shareholder value is maximized. Of course, I'm taking a look at this in the context of a company that's traded in the stock exchange. Okay? So ang pinaka natin, limited yung focus natin, ano? Companies that are traded in the stock exchange, because if they're traded in the stock exchange, we can easily look at the shareholder value. But if it's not traded in the stock exchange, pwede rin ma-compute yun, yung price per share. So shareholder value is actually price per share. Okay, what's the price per share of the stock? Okay, for example, if you invested in Jollibee several decades ago, siguro nag-invest ka sa Jollibee, IPO, I'm not sure, 30 pesos yata, no? The IPO, or the initial public offering, okay, of Jollibee. Okay, initial public offering is the price of Jollibee per share with which it was first introduced to the market. It's called your initial public offering. So for example, for purposes of example, bumili ka ng 30 pesos yun. Okay? After 10 years, after 20 years, after 30 years, the price became, let's say, 280 pesos per share. Okay? So this is what you call creating value for the shareholders. Okay? Hindi ito profit, guys, ha? Although may relationship yung profit at saka yung shareholder value. Pero magkaiba yun. No? Profit is different from shareholder value. So to shareholders, to owners of the business, what's important is that the shareholder value is maximized. Oo nga, let's say Jollibee keeps on reporting profitability. Pero after 30 years, ang share price na 20 pesos per share. So bumaba pa yung value ng ininvest ko, di ba? Okay, so there are intrinsic reasons why the main objective of a firm, the main focus of finance in a business is not to maximize profit, but rather to maximize shareholder value. Of course, guys, may debate yan. No? There's a debate about that. And there are many readings, and I'll share with you one reading which you have to read, that debates between, is it profit maximization or shareholder value maximization? But from the perspective of finance, the main objective should be to maximize shareholder value. Okay, so let's try to see. So as I mentioned a while ago, ito yun, maximize shareholder value. And profit is different from shareholder value. Profit is generated by computing for the sales less all the costs, less all the incidental, all the costs. Then you come up with the bottom line, which we call the bottom line profit. On the other hand, shareholder value is how much the stock is selling at the market. Okay, there's a world of difference. In order to compute for the profit, you have to make use of accounting principles, what we call GAAP. No? I don't know if you have already discussed that. Maybe hindi pa kasi first week pa lang ngayon. Generally accepted. So pag profit, this is generated by using GAAP. No? Generally accepted accounting principles. Okay? On the other hand, ito, guys, ang nagdedetermine yan, market forces. Also the perception of the people. If the people perceive that this company will be able to generate cash flows. Okay, babalikan natin tong cash flows na to in the future kasi importante yung term na to, no? So the focus is not on profit as far as maximizing shareholder value is concerned. The focus is on, will it be able to generate cash flows in the future? Okay, note again that there's a distinction between profit and cash. Magkaiba yan. Sa finance, ito ang focus. Cash flows and not profit. Okay, so we'll specify why the focus is more not profit but rather sorry, cash flows. Dala? Nagang yata. Okay. I don't know why the file is being erased. No? Okay. Something's wrong with my PowerPoint. Let me open another instance. Sorry about this, class. I'm not so sure why. Save ko muna to. Error occurred. One last. Oops. Hold on, guys. Okay, apologies for that. I don't know what's happening to my PowerPoint software. Okay, so going back, we said that the main objective is maximizing shareholder value. Isn't it maximize profits, or isn't it one of you mentioned satisfying customers? Now, these are very important objectives. But my question is, what is the main objective? Okay, so this is from marketing. So for example, now these are the reasons why customer satisfaction is very important as far as an organization is concerned. It provides competitive advantages to the firm. Okay, it increases corporate performance through profits and through growth. Okay, for example, how does customer satisfaction generate profit? It allows the firm to have repeat buyers. Okay, it's very costly to get customers. So of course, you need to promote your product, you need to do promotional activities. So it has a cost to the firm. So what's optimal for the firm is to be able to get customers and then keep their customers and even provide cross-selling. You know what cross-selling is? Anyone knows what cross-selling is? Anyone? Cross-selling.
Sir,
Yes?
can I guess po? Is
Yeah,
it like
sure.
franchising po?
Sorry, Steph.
Is it like franchising po?
Franchising. Okay. Thank you, Steph. Close enough, but it's more of when you say cross-selling, you have your customers, and then you're able to sell the other products that you offer to the same customers. That's what you call cross-selling. For example, your customer only buy product ABC, but you have products DEF. So when you cross-sell, you sell DEF to your same customers so that they also patronize your other products. So that's what we mean by cross-selling. It's easy to cross-sell to your customers if they're satisfied, if they're repeat customers. Okay, and they will be loyal to you in crisis. There, we can name many companies where they have to jack up their prices of their products, but because the customers are very satisfied with their services, they don't mind the increase in price. So it's related to this one, higher prices. So if the company increases prices, no problem, because the customers are so satisfied with them that they don't mind the increase in price. Okay, how about growth? Growth can come in the form of WOM. This is the word of mouth. Okay, this is free advertising. Okay, so if you provide good services, if the customers are very well satisfied with what you do, then they'll be the one to be your active promoters. They will tell their friends, well, you go here. Their service is excellent. Okay, and then they'll be the ones to really patronize if you have new product innovation. Okay, so is satisfying customers important? Of course. We're not saying that satisfying customers is not important. we're not saying that maximizing profits is not important. But the question is, what is the main objective? Are these also objectives? Yes, these may be objectives. But my question was, what is the main objective of a firm? Yan. Okay, so as I mentioned a while ago, okay, if your customers are satisfied, then that will be one of the main strongest indicator of loyalty. Satisfied customers translates to loyal customers. Okay, as I mentioned a while ago, satisfied customers will do repurchasing. This will be repeat customers. Cross-selling, okay, which I mentioned a while ago. Price sensitivity, even if the prices go up, they will still there be with you. Okay, and of course the WOM, the word of mouth. Okay, they will advertise the company's services, the company's products. So that's free advertising. You don't need to. Well, of course, you may need still to promote, but this is additional advertising, and nothing beats the testimony of satisfied customers, because their friends, since their friends will believe them because they have experienced it, as compared to just hearing it over the radio or over the TV or in social media. Iba yung word of mouth. Okay, so let's differentiate. What's the difference between wealth maximization and profit maximization? Well, first, there's a difference in terms of planning duration. Let me see if okay. So baka may nag-skip na PowerPoint na slide. Okay, difference. Number one, sa planning duration. Pag profit maximization kasi, what's important is yung immediate, yung short term. Kasi profit ang focus, then hindi naman natin mako-complete yung focus for 3 years from now. So the focus will be on the near term, on the current term. No? So ang danger ng ganyan, class, is that the companies might be tempted to cut back on what we call discretionary expenditures. What are discretionary expenditures? These are expenditures na to the mind of the company, pwedeng tanggalin mo muna. Kaya, okay, example. Kunyari, in the case of inflation, no? Prices are increasing. The company cannot just raise their prices, but the supplies, the raw materials of their product are increasing. So what happens? If they can't increase their selling price, what do? They will cut back on expenses. Okay, hindi naman pwedeng tanggalin yung raw material. So what will generally be removed first? What we call discretionary expenditures. Ano yung example ng discretionary expenditures? What's an example of that? Okay, example. Oh, ito. At HR expenditures, R&D expenditures. Okay, so usually that's what happens when the company faces a certain dilemma as far as increasing prices is concerned. It will try to cut back on what we call discretionary expenditures, realizing that this may improve the bottom line for the current period, but it will create a dent. Okay, it will affect operations in the future. Yes, Casey, you raise your hand.
Yes, sir. Sorry, just to clarify, R&D means research and development.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you so much po.
Thank you, Casey. Sorry. Apologies, guys. So R&D refers to research and development. So ito yung mga examples. These are examples of discretionary funds that are cut. So when you cut on training of people, when you cut on R&D, do not be surprised if 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, your services will suffer. Okay, the quality of your service will suffer because uh, you are not putting in money for the people for their training. Okay, don't be surprised if their skill set deteriorates or they're not anymore. They don't know how to address or answer concerns of customers, and that can be fatal to the organization. Okay, so finance is really walking on a thin thread here. So what do? We have a scenario where prices are increasing, and of course the company cannot just cut back on the raw materials, otherwise they'll not be able to produce. So that's now the role of finance. How does now the finance juggle its resources so that it does not compromise on expenditures that are relevant, that are very vital? Okay, very important yon, yung R&D. Kasi kung walang R&D, tapos yung competitor has been really investing in that, and they are able to develop innovations, innovative products, innovative processes, which really revolutionizes their business processes. So uh, in Filipino we say pupulutin tayo sa kangkungan, ano? Okay, by the way, class, may I have a show of hands? Do all of you understand Filipino? Anyone here who's a foreigner? Kindly chat yes, please, if all of you understand Filipino. Otherwise, I'll be speaking in straight English. If not, then I'll be uh, I'll do Taglish from time to time. Only from time to time. I saw a chat here. Okay, thank you. All right. So no foreigner classmate. Okay, good. So sometimes class I'll be explaining things in Filipino just to drive home the point. All right. On the other hand, wealth maximization focuses on the long term. Okay, long-term impact of profitability, long-term effect on discretionary expenditures such as promotions, maintenance. I've seen some companies who cut back on their maintenance kasi nga nag-aan sila ng mga expenses. So tatanggalin yung maintenance ng machine. E di magbe-breakdown yung mga machine, e di ang effect nun lalong maapektuhan yung production nila, lalong maapektuhan yung profitability because of this myopic view of profit maximization. Basta lang maipataas yung bottom line. Kasi ang importante lang sa atin, at the end of the month, kailangan tumaas yung profit natin. Okay? Kailangan mataas yung profit natin. So sige, cut back yung mga expense na yan. Okay? Not realizing that this will have an impact later on. For wealth maximization, yung mga discretionary expenditures na to are not looked into as expenditures, but rather as investments. Okay? There lies a difference. There lies a difference between the main objective being profit maximization and wealth maximization. So I hope you're seeing the difference. Medyo magkaiba. Next. Okay? In terms of risk management, magkaiba din sila. Okay? Magkaiba din sila. So what's the difference? When you talk of risk management, for profit maximization, again, kasi ang focus lang natin to maximize profit, no? Or to minimize cost. So tatanggalin yung mga expenses na which the organization or the firm feels are not needed, are not essential. Case in point. Okay? Now, in one of the products of finance is what we call here I'll need to write here. Okay? In finance, there are products called derivatives. Okay? Derivatives are financial products whose value are derived from the underlying asset. Okay, so don't worry about the definition. But examples of this are, okay, let me cite one very important examples. No? Futures. Example and derivatives are futures. So what are futures? What are futures? Okay, futures are assets, okay, whose value are derived, as I said, from the underlying assets. And it is a contract between two parties, okay, between two parties. So meron kang party A, company B, and it is done through a market. So futures market, no? Futures market. Okay, so what happens in a futures market? Company A, through this futures market, agree with company B. Of course, hindi alam ni company A, no, kung kanino siya bumibili. Kasi ganun yung market, di ba? Kung stocks to, bibili ka kunyari ng Jollibee stocks sa PSE, Philippine Stock Exchange, through a broker, no? Hindi mo alam kung sino nagbebenta ng Jollibee stocks. Okay? You don't know. Pero there are sellers and there are buyers. Okay, so kunyari, yung bibili natin, let's suppose that we're engaged in a business which needs oil. Okay, so oil, no? So per barrel ang bilihan natin yan. And you know how volatile the price of oil is. So let's suppose the date is now September 12, no? Okay. All right. As an example, the price now per barrel is, let's say, 98. I'm not sure now, pero ina-estimate ko lang, $98 per barrel. Okay, and that's a very important raw material as far as the firm is concerned. Okay, now if the company will not plan for these purchases, delikado siya. Kasi kunyari, fast forward December 31, the price of oil ballooned to $180. Yan. Tapos bibili ka on December 31. Okay, di ba? This is very, very, very risky for the company kasi grabe yung rise and fall ng ng price ng oil. Okay? So the company can engage in what we call the futures market. So ang gagawin niya, bibili siya dito sa futures market. Okay? Kunyari, sa futures, kaya ang tawag sa kanya futures kasi delivery will be in the future. So titingnan siya sa market, okay? Let's say may delivery sa December 31. Okay? Ang delivery is so mga 3 months from now, the price is at $102 per barrel. Okay? So the company will transact the business. No? Bibili siya ng futures, ibig sabihin, delivery will be done on December 31. Conducted now, yung transaction ginawa na ngayon September 12. The delivery will be on December 31, okay, at $102. Okay? Pero ang price ngayon 98. Okay? So this is this a good move? Fast forward December 31. Okay? Naging 180 per dollars yung barrel ng oil. And this is if you buy this from the ang tawag diyan spot market, no? Spot. Kung bibili mo yung item ora mismo now. Okay, so if you did not plan, if you did not transact a business, if you did not buy in the futures market, which you could have bought now at $102, delivery on December 31, then pagdating ng December 31, what a big savings you were able to do for the company. Kasi 180 na yung spot price nun. Pero nakuha mo at 102. Diba? So big savings yun. Okay, so this is what this is part of what we call risk management. So pag profit maximization, hindi mo gagawin yan kasi ayaw mo yung additional expenses eh. Pero pag wealth maximization, you work on risk mitigation. Okay, you don't consider these activities as expenses, but rather as mitigating against the risk, as a planning so that you are able to reduce the risk that the company is exposed to. Okay? So napakaganda, no? Unfortunately, walang futures market sa Philippines. Pero nasa mga advanced market yan, nasa big markets. Of course, US, Singapore, Japan, Korea, etc. Pero sa atin, wala. Dati meron eh. Pero wala na. No? Okay? So that's just an example of derivatives. May iba pang klaseng derivatives. Pero I just wanted to point this out to you. Okay, so let me see. Okay. All right, I think it's almost time. No? Wait. Nawawala yung ano. Hindi pa. May 3 minutes pa pala tayo. Sorry. Advance pala itong ano ko. Apologies guys for this PowerPoint, which I don't know what's happening with this.
Sir, may I know if you would be given a copy of the
Yes.
PowerPoint
Yes,
presentation? Okay, thank you, sir.
I will. Don't worry, I will, guys. Dali, Oh, why? Apologies, guys. I think I have to fix this. Okay. Wait, ma-show ko lang yung last slide para yung tatlong distinctions. Sorry, don't save ko na lang. Okay. All right, so last two slides before we call it a day. So a while ago, we said that one difference is diba, planning duration. Si profit maximization, medyo myopic siya, short-sighted. Si wealth, it looks at the long term. Risk management, parang sa planning duration, pagkakat ng mga expenses, even if it means mitigating the company against possible risk. Hindi kino-consider yan sa profit maximization, but more on wealth maximization. Thirdly, wealth pricing strategy. Kasi nga, ang objective natin is really to increase profitability. So dapat kahit na ang pag-offer natin ng services natin at a high price point. So wealth maximization, hindi. Okay? It could do the reverse. Pwedeng babaan niya. Because ang objective niya is to really build up on the market share, which is more for the long term. Okay, so that's one difference. And lastly, capacity planning. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo a while ago. If it's profit-oriented, enough lang sa productive capacity to handle the existing sales level and generate or be able to meet the short-term sales forecast. But for wealth maximization, hindi. Long-term kasi yung tingin eh. Long-term yung tingin. So, investment in equipment, investment in machinery, investment in R&D, investment in research and development. So the company is willing to invest in these things, knowing that the focus is on the long term. Okay? So with those guys, we were able to see 4 differences in terms of planning duration, risk management, pricing strategy, and capacity planning. Okay, next meeting, we're going to continue with this and introduction to the world of finance. So I hope you learned something. Let me stop recording now. Paki-chat naman please if you learned something today. If okay lang ba yung pace natin.